We're going to Nappa. Nappa, the time is going to start when you start talking.
Yeah, I agree with you about, it's fascinating that you'll find a lot of coincidences. When you brought up the numerical coincidences, you'll find that a lot throughout nature and throughout history as well. You'll find that the Notre Dame Cathedral has ratios close to the golden ratio, right? Or the Machu Picchu has like damn near perfect engineering stability, right? You'll find all sorts of, and what did they say that, let me see here. It says that the golden ratio, hold on, let's go back up. The Great Pyramids, original height, 146.6, I think that's meters, half the base length, 115.2. If you take the base divided by twice the height, you get something close to pi, 3.11416, which is pi. Coincidence, likely geometry of slopes for stability, not knowledge of pi as we define it today, right? Still magnificent that they maybe not have known about the concept of pi, but just saw it naturally. They intuitively saw this with their eye, with the naked eye, or whatever system of measurement that they did have, because they obviously had systems of measurement that they came up, they had something that aligned with our understanding of what pi is today, right? Or the perimeter of the base, 92.16 meters times 4 equaling 3,684. If you scale up using the same unit, the pyramid in some artists use, people get numbers close to Earth's polar circumference, 40,000 kilometers. This comes from choosing arbitrary units. It doesn't hold in meters or ancient Egyptian cubits without stretching definition. So there's all sorts of coincidences. Also, as we mentioned, the speed of light is 299 million, right? Something around that line. It's a pure coincidence as far as the latitude, right? Because of the decimal degree system is modern and Egyptians didn't use it. So there's all kind of different examples of that throughout history and nature, right? You'll find coincidences, but that doesn't mean that that's a correlation. It's still, but it still shows that that human ingenuity is still amazing. It's still beautiful, and even historians, mainstream historians, are infatuated with that, and I think everybody would agree to ask questions and to be in awe of those structures. And so I mean, I guess you're flip flopping around with this ancient shit. You're not really saying what you believe in. You're not proving anything. You're just begging the question. You've been begging the question this whole time. You're not showing us any sort of other references as far as what tools might have been used other than what they tell us. And you're also not giving me any examples of what scientists are saying that they couldn't have done it with the manpower that they had. Tens of thousands of people for several generations. What project have you known to be a part of that had tens of thousands of people? Maybe thousands, but tens of thousands of men and women, or just men that 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 had to work on one single project, right? On one monumental project at that. They had the time to do it. So you keep saying, that you drive from this distance to that distance. Oh, go ahead. Go
Time,
ahead.
Nappa. Yeah,
Okay.
time. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, it's all right.
Okay, we are going into the final round. Excuse me. We're going into the final round.
Hey Queen, I have some. Just remember, I told you earlier. I jumped the gun earlier. I went straight into my first round. Remember, so that last round was my final round.
Okay, so Napa, did you have any? I'm guessing you didn't have anything else either because you didn't really do the presentation.
Yeah,
If I
I'm sorry, y'all. Like I'm busy. I'm a father. My bad, y'all. But yeah,
No,
I didn't
I
really have a
understand. I get
presentation.
it. Everybody has real lives. I don't know if anybody has ever did one of these debates. I have, and it's very time consuming. It does take a lot of effort and a lot of information that you have to put together in presentation form. So I get it.
And can
So
I
we
add
can
to
go.
that too? Oh no, I'm
Sure.
sorry. You about to go? Because I
Yeah,
was
I
just gonna
was just
say,
going to go straight into your closings, but go ahead.
yeah. Well, I'll go straight to the closing. I just added in my closing.
Okay, no problem. So, with that being said, you have up until 10 minutes to close out. You don't have to use the whole 10 minutes if you don't want to. Napa, we're going to start with you. Whenever you start talking, I'll start the timer.
Okay. Um, so I think This is, I think, we getting somewhere with this, right? Because we've been having this conversation for 2 years. I still think that you're not being completely transparent about exactly what you believe in, because these debates are about what you believe and what you know, right? So you're kind of flip flopping around what you think the ancients used, but I think we also, Simon, we both agree that they were advanced, perhaps even more advanced than we think that we've been taught to believe. Maybe I'll even give you this. Maybe they did have the will. Maybe Egyptians, let's just say Egyptians did understand the will. That would be advanced for what we understand today. Maybe they did have the will. Now, that I don't consider that a stretch. I would entertain that idea for sure. But I know deep down inside you believe in engineering, like drills and industrial equipment. You believe in power sources. You believe in all these fantastical other theories that they say. And you told us the other night that they had technology that was even better than the technology that we have today. This is literally what came out of your mouth. Otherwise, I would have never took the debate, because I know where this goes. And this is where we always end up at. We get into the semantical argument about what advanced means, and we never get anywhere clear. You beg the question, how did they do this? That's impossible. There's no way they could have did that. That takes a lot of time. That's too big. That's too whatever. And then we go back and forth. But it's never really clear about what you believe in. Now, what I bring, what I try, at least I attempt to bring, is that archaeology, modern archaeology, does tell us that without tens of thousands of hours of labor and people and time and effort and precision and sophistication, human beings made these monumental megalithic structures. And the last thing, you talk about these pyramids being all over the world. Now, the Giza pyramids are the most unique ones, right? Those are the most monumental, most beautiful ones. Right? But you only find, when you get into architecture, you might know this. There's only three basic shapes that you would try to build that are foundational. You got triangle, squares, and spheres. So you're going to find triangular structures all over the world because they're essential. They're basic. You're going to find squares and cylinders. You're going to find spheres because these are very easy to build. They're the three basic shapes, like the three basic, like the basic colors. These are the three basic shapes. So I'm not infatuated with pyramids popping up in Africa and Asia and South America, because you're not going to talk about the spheres, the circular, the tents and the huts. You're not going to talk about all that. Why did they all have those same concepts, right? Because these are basic shapes. So, the megalithic monuments are something that we're all in awe of, but there's plenty of evidence that shows that they used the tools that was available at the time. And the only thing that was advanced was the minds that they have, that maybe, and I have never heard mainstream academia say this literally, like, oh, they were primitive, there's no way they could have built it, right? But they were way more advanced than we give them credit for. We look at the past, the sticks and stones and barbaric and hunter gatherer, when really they were very sophisticated, had conversations, had meetings, had language and text around their ideology, religions around their ideology. So, well, what's that? Okay. So I'll end there. Yeah, I'll end there, man.
Okay. Now we are getting into Crab's closing statements. Crabs, when you're ready, I'll start the timer. You're on mute. You're on mute, so you're not ready.
All right, oh man, my bad. Yeah, all right, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so it's like it's funny that we've been having this conversation for a week, and I've said 100 times it's not about what I can believe. If you want to have a conversation about what I believe about any aliens or lasers, we can have that conversation, Nappa. But I know I'm not going to be able to prove to you any of that stuff that I believe, because to me, it's not, beliefs don't shape everything around me. It's nothing wrong with having beliefs, but you can allow your beliefs to look into something, and when you look into it and your belief and what you looking into don't add up, then you can delineate or change away from that however you choose to. But you want to make this argument about aliens and lasers, and I think you want to do that because you feel like it's a better argument to have. What I was trying to prove is the tools that they say that we have, it's not possible to do the work that we see behind us, and it takes a lot It takes a lot for me to be able to say that in front of people and to not have an educational background. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I'm totally and completely convinced because I've worked with the material. I've seen it move. I know 1 ton is 2,000 pounds, man. So you're talking about moving 40,000 pounds, 60,000 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even get into the stone of the pregnant lady, the largest monolithic stone known to man, which weighs 1,600 tons. If I remember doing the math, I think it came at 3.2 million pounds. And they were going to do what with it? With what? That's why I keep saying you got to imagine yourself doing some of the things that they said they had to do. You yourself know how hard it was to go to your laptop and copy and paste a presentation. Because you were battling somebody that don't really know what they're talking about. It should have been a real easy feat. You could have just threw a bunch of stuff together, a bunch of random facts, and just completely crushed me. But if it's that hard for you to do what you had to do with the technology that we have, imagine how hard it was for them to do with what we said that they had. That's my point. And when you look at things like Tebekle template, which I couldn't get into with having 10 minutes round, and I wish I would have slowed down. I hope we can do this again. And I can slow down, I can take my time. But I know how short people, attention span is, so people might not want to hear 30 minutes of lectures. That's why a lot of people. Excuse me, I got a phone call because it's like to listen to TED talks or listening to people present presentations for 3.5 hours to an empty ass studio, and all you hear is their echo and reverb. It's hard to, you know what I'm saying, to do that and still pay attention. But in order to get some of the information that I have, I had to sit and do that. And I have the luxury of driving for a living. So for 10 to 12 hours a day, I can listen to a book on psychology, meditation, consciousness, quantum physics. And I've been doing this for just about 10 years. And I don't listen to the radio. You know what I'm saying? I try to work them. I know I'm rambling right now, but I want to give you an idea of who I am and my conclusion. And just know that I'm not reaching out of thin air to put these things together. There's actually reasons why I see and believe this. And just to get back on point, I would never dispel what our ancient ancestors have done and the research that they've done. Dr. Clark, like, come on, man. What I look like trying to say, like, I would argue Nappa all day. I don't care if I thought he was wrong 100 times. I would sit at his feet and bow my head and listen. But y'all, I can have this conversation with y'all, and I shouldn't be called stupid or ignorant for doing it. Especially, I feel like, in my heart of heart, if you suspend your biasness, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And it doesn't require for me to have to actually show you the tools that were used to do it, for you to understand that this civilization had to be more advanced than what they were given credit to. That's why I use the example of the mechanic. It's like, damn, man, you're looking at it. Yes, right. Whoever said it in the thing, opinion versus facts. And I'm looking at this Kalisa temple behind me that I showed you earlier. If you go and Google that and look at it, it was sculpted from the top down. And it just blows my mind because you don't see it around the world. You see it in Ethiopia also. But from one solid piece of stone, you sculpted something from the top down. What did your blueprints look like?
5 minutes.
And you also gave it an irrigation system. To the fact that the people who research it, they say if the irrigation system had not been advanced as it was, this place would have been washed away years ago. And then when you look at the artwork that they put into it, if you make one mistake, it is gone. But they had the self-confidence to jump down there and do that. And I'm looked at like I'm stretching for saying maybe they had something more advanced than what we're giving them credit for. But then when I try to stretch and imagine what it is they have, then you use that against me to say, aha, look at what he thinks. Like this is grade school shit. It's like playing nan and boo boo. Look at what he said something about aliens, y'all. He crazy. Dismiss everything that he just showed us. Because you keep bringing up this science versus alternative science. I'm using weight and density. And I want the fact checker to tell one time when I use an alternative method to doing something. I'm saying I'm thinking there may have been an alternative method, but I want to get you to see the fact that the method they said they had in place could not have been that method. You're not using a copper saw with sand to sculpt 20-ton stones. How long is the saw? How long is this saw? From what angle are you cutting it? How many tons of sand do you need to drop in the teeth of the saw to create this irritation that they said it must have? Because they say you can't do it with copper or bronze alone. These are the questions that I'm asking. And I should be allowed to ask that. I think and this is the thing, we're having a paradigm shift right in front of our faces. And if we can't look around and see what is going on in the real world, what we call the real world, look at the fuckery that is going on in front of our face, and you think history is off guard? No, they can't touch that. They wouldn't lie about that. And I'll give one more example, and I'll make my conclusion, because I know, and this is off the subject matter, I hope I proved it the best of my ability. But because we talk about conspiracy theories. And like I said before, people say you can't keep these things under wrap. I want to remind y'all, the CDC, the same institution that we love and trust right now here in the great United States of America, once did an experiment for 40 years that looked at the untreated effects of syphilis on black males. And they just apologized about it in 2019. It's called the Tuskegee experiment. For 40 years, they told these black men that they were getting free health care. And they watched them give that disease to their loved ones and their children. And it may have something to do with the mental development of some children or people in the world that we're seeing right now for 40 years, from 1940 something to 1972, I believe. And we don't think they can keep a secret. And when I say they, I want you to understand it's whoever has an invested interest into whatever agenda that could push. And I'm not talking about the government. I know we like to say that we don't, the government, I like to say it in my head and believe it wholeheartedly, because I don't depend on it completely and solely. But if I call the fireman, I do want him to come. When I'm waiting on my mail, I would like for it to arrive. And if I can't afford health care, I hope it's a system set in place that'll take care of me when I'm elderly. So I don't want to talk about the government like I'm kicking them in their ass completely and totally. But there are facets inside the government that keep things like this suppressed. Our ancient history, something that should be so simple and can be shared amongst everybody. And just so you know, Nappa, we just had 2 UAP conferences in the last 2 years. So you can see how far along we are moving. But it's not about what I believe. Remember that, judges. I'm not here for what I believe. It's for what I prove. And I last 30 seconds. Thank you. Jonas,
All right, good job, fellas. I appreciate y'all for putting in the work that y'all did put in for this debate and getting up early today to come and do it. I really do appreciate y'all. Y'all both did a really good job. With that being said, one of the judges, are any one of y'all ready to give your final judgment? Let me just remind you on what you are judging on. Judges Cosmic and Munchie will be judging on, for each round, if they directly address the topic, clarity of the position, persuasiveness of the argument, presentation, evidence, references, and identifying opposing arguments, which is a part of the rebuttals. So that is 6 points that you are able to give each contestant for each round. So just to be a little clearer, on each subject, you will be, on each piece of the criteria, you will be giving up to 6 points. Cosmic, Munchie, are either one of y'all ready?
Give me a moment.
No problem. Munchie? No, you don't have to move, Skinny. You good. Hey, Libra. Oh, yeah. And thank y'all in the comments for sticking around and lighting up these comment sections, gifting. We do appreciate y'all. Hey, Sinister, Megatron, Afro, uh, Love Loyalty, Raul Bali, Jonas 30, all of y'all, thank y'all. Critical Camp, I see you down there. Appreciate you. While I was waiting for my judges, just taking a brief commercial break for the judges. Go ahead, Rep.
Just going to ask you gentlemen that are debating, I don't know what your time schedules are like, but will you guys have some time to stick around after the debate? Because
Yes,
I
sir.
remember before the debate, we had some questions and answers.
Yes, sir.
See if anyone wants to do some QA.
I'll be around for a while.
Cool beans.
Perfect.
Hello?
Munchie. Hey, Munchie. We were
Yes,
just
yes.
waiting for your judgment. So just really quickly, again, you're going to be giving up to 6 points for each one of these criterias, whether they directly address the topic, clarity of the position, persuasiveness of the argument, presentation, evidence and references, and identifying opposing arguments, which is the rebuttal. You're able to give up to 6 points for each category. Yeah, I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna go on mute.
Okay, perfect. So I wrote all those down. I got everything separate. I was gonna ask you, but I didn't want to mess up the recording when it came to the mix up with the intro. So this is not gonna count, but I gave you a 5 for crabs and I gave Nappa a 3 for the intro. Just a quick rating. Doesn't really mean much. So for the first directly addressing the top, I gave a 1 on the first round. I gave 1 to crabs, a point for crabs, and a point to Nappa as well. Clarifying, should I do both rounds at one shot or should I do individual person? How would you want them?
Um, do both rounds, one shot. Just let me know, however you want to, really.
Gotcha. Okay, so directly addressing the topic, we'll go off for the per point section. I got first round. I gave a point to crabs. Second round as well. All right. I gave the same thing to Nappa. I gave him a point in the first round and on the second round. Clarifying your position. I think that Krabs did very well as well, as far as clarifying his position. I gave him a point for each one of those. Unfortunately, Nappa, I couldn't give you a point on either round for clarifying your position. You didn't really let me know a position you were in, but even though I think you did really, really well, well, I'll just leave it there. Persuasiveness of the argument, Krabs. I don't think you gave enough as far as persuading on the first round. So I didn't give you a point that first round, but I did on the second. And I think Nappa was very persuasive on his argument. I gave him a point for both rounds on that. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky for me. I have presentation, evidence, and references all on one line. I gave a 0.5, half a point to Krabs on both rounds. I think your presentation was wonderful. I like the way you had the screen up and gave everything up. Your evidence and references was nice, but unfortunately, a lot of the evidence is could be debunked. You really didn't. As far as evidence, I had to knock you on the points for the evidence. You didn't clarify on. You didn't give valid evidence. Let's leave that. You threw stuff in the air and said, "Hey, this was. What do you think about this?" More or less, when it came to your evidence. Nappa presentation was no. And evidence and references in the first round, you didn't give much either. So I gave you no point on the first round, and I gave you half a point for evidence and references on the second round. I think you came back. You gave a couple of references, and you presented some evidence as well. Identifying opposing arguments. I gave Krabs a point for each round, and I gave a point to Nappa on each round. I think that you guys both did a good job on identifying each other's, position, even though it was hard for Krabs. He had to kind of assume your position, Nappa, but I said, I still give you guys each a point on that. And then the rebuttals were wonderful. I think you guys went back to back on the rebuttals. I gave you each a point on that. And that's about it.
Thank you, Munchie. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to Cosmic.
All right. So what I did is I judged based off of the evidence, the presentation, and staying on topic. So those are the categories that you're gonna hear my my scores out of. Now for Krabs, he scored high. Presentation, topic, and evidence. For Krabs, he scored high in all three rounds, or all of the rounds, with a score of 6. And then Nappa, of course, he got a score of 0 because he didn't take the time out to do a presentation. Then scored low on those in that area. In reference to evidence in the first round, I gave Krabs a 4 because I did see that he tried to bring some evidence. Then Nappa has a 5. And everything on top. Reference to evidence, I gave Krabs a 2 and Nappa a 4. And that's what leaves a total for Krabs in that round 12 out of 18 and Nappa 11 out of 18. In round 2, for topic and evidence, I gave Krabs a 3 on the topic and then a 2 with evidence. And for Nappa, I gave 6 and 5, bringing the scores to 11 for Krabs and 11 out of 18 and 15 out of 18 for Nappa. And then for round 3, I gave Krabs, of course, he got a 6 in the presentation, but on topic and evidence, again, he gets a 4 on topic. This was the round, I think, where he started bringing in other evidence that I felt, although related, was off topic in reference to bringing up. Let me see. Hold a second. Let me see my notes. And no, that was Nappa bringing up the Nova TV. But I didn't record it. I was just listening to that. But this was the round where I heard Krabs bringing up other information that wasn't related to the topic in reference to proving that they had advanced tools, but still bringing it up. But then so he got a 4 and a 3, 6, 4, and 3 out of that round, and then Nappa got 3, 6, and 5. So bringing the total to 13 for Krabs and 14 for Nappa, and then the totals for each was 36 out of 54 for Krabs, 40 out of 54 for Nappa. Krabs won in terms of presentation because the effort that he put in doing the presentation, but he did not prove his case. Both Nappa and Krabs both agree that there is something that was used by the ancients to build these structures, and we don't know exactly what that is, but it wasn't proven that it wasn't what they had.
Okay, so just to clarify, I had I guess I graded you guys differently. I give you a point for each one of those. So I have Krabs at a total of 10 points, and I have Nappa at a total of 10 points out of the 12. It'd be 6 points per round. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.5 for Nappa on that. That's what I have.
No
I don't know how
problem. Let
you,
me
I don't know how
do
you
some
graded. I don't know if I graded it wrong. Was it supposed to be 6 points individually for each one of those?
Yes, it was, but I could work with this and do some math and make it, applicable. But unless you are
My
able to
apologies,
make my life
fellas.
a little bit easier, but be very clear, both Cosmic and Munchie, this is last minute on their parts. So be very clear that they didn't get the judgment treatment that I'm usually giving people.
Um, I I do have to ask, what was it? Just the show? What was the point of this debate? This conversation? Because it just seemed like it was to talk about what's already known. Nothing was really proven on either side. Like Nappa, this isn't related to my judgment, but Nappa was just talking about what's already proven, and then Krabs, you were really just talking about what we all already know, that it was a make that we don't know what they used to build it.
Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah, y'all allowed to speak. Let Krabs answer first, and then Nappa, you can answer it after.
Yeah. I get where your point is coming from. That Nappa was talking about something that's already proved, but Nappa was actually talking about something that's already accepted. And the whole topic of this conversation, or this dual concept, because it wasn't a debate, because he didn't present any evidence, he didn't have a stance. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, all right, whatever. But it's like it was to show that there was a technologically advanced ancient civilization. And he agreed with me, but he still wanted to have the debate because he wanted to make it about what he wanted to make it about. But for the last week, I've been saying we're not talking about what I believe. We're not talking about what I said. We're talking about that there was a technologically advanced ancient civilization. It says nowhere in there that I was here to prove that they had tools or what type of tools they had. I was here to prove that they didn't use those tools that they had in front of us. And I showed works that show how impossible it is to use those tools to make the work that we see in front of us. I know you guys may not agree with them because you accept that they use the carpet chisels or the carpet saws with sand. So I get it, but I just don't understand how you're saying that Nappa presented evidence. Like that's wild.
Well, this debate started because you called this debate out, right? You, I forgot whose panel, Unity's panel, or was it Issa Queen's panel? You stood on a whole different, you was on a whole different time that day. You was saying aliens. You literally said aliens because everybody was laughing about it. And then you said that they had better technology than we had today. This is literally what came out your mouth. And then you said, who want to debate? I said, I'll debate you. And we set up the debate that day, right? That's all that happened. I didn't challenge you to debate. I just accepted your offer because nobody else was going to do it. Maybe if Queen would have took it, maybe Fusion would have took it, but I just got first in line because it was clearly aimed at maybe one of the three of us, right? So I just took the debate, and you were standing on something completely different that day because we were all laughing. We were all laughing. We even said in a whole nother panel, I'm glad that he finally said it. I'm glad that he finally said aliens because you never say aliens. I'll give you that. You don't mention aliens often, even though you insinuated. You
It's not
never
true.
mention it. Okay, well,
I
what's
do
not true?
mention it, and I told it's like
Okay,
I told you
okay,
this
okay.
100 times, and I'm gonna say it. I wish you guys would have took notes of how many times I say what I believe versus what I think. I said I believe that there are extraterrestrials. I said that shit. I said I believe that they could have been involved with a lot of shit that happened in our past, even our genetic evolution. But I said I can't prove that shit, and I wouldn't attempt to go about proving it. but at least I can go and prove that there was some type of civilization a while ago that were more technologically advanced than what our historians are saying. And I said I would love to debate anyone on that fact. Whether I did it or not, that's completely up to anybody else. But I'm telling you, now that I see it, and I had a chance to put it out, it takes way more than 10 minutes per round because it's already a mindset that's set in place where every round you kept asking me about aliens and about lasers. And when I told you some of the things that I said about lasers, as far as our humans using lasers to scan some of these objects and see that they were in 0.0% of perfect circles sometimes. And we only can do that with laser technology. We in this current era, and I've told you that several times. But it's like I think people like the fun part of Bigo when they hear somebody say something they haven't heard before, and they feel like they can easily debunk it. But when I break it down and listen to you, and I try to talk to you, and I say, you know what? And this is when you stop hearing me talk about aliens. I say, I get it. I get why you guys don't believe that. I said, can we take out that and let us just talk about maybe the civilization will be way more advanced than what they're giving credit to. I said that several times before, but now the conversation is moving because before the tools and methods that I presented earlier, they were being defended because you guys believe the Pt.2 core that I showed you was made from a copper pipe that had a bow and a string around it, and it was going back and forth, and it drilled down into a granite and made the Pt.2 that I showed you. Because this is what they said it did. And I'm like, y'all, look at the technology we have there to tell us, okay, it's not true. It is a complete spiral. It does not go back and forth. And I showed you guys that the people who actually study it and did the laser experiments on it, they said it represents 500 faster than what our human hand can do. When you get something 500 times faster than what you can do, that screams machinery. I can't prove that. But I can definitely prove by what we see that it's more than what they say we had. And I just don't understand how you guys can look at this and just say, no, they did it with what they said they had. But maybe it's just me, man. I guess I sit on the island alone.
Okay, I'm over here doing fractions, but I just want to say really quickly, right? I kind of would. I'm gonna have to agree with what Nappa said, right? And it's because you know, at the end of the day, Nappa is right. Like that day, it was on my panel, and it's actually recorded. It's on my YouTube, Duel of Concepts YouTube channel. Check it out. The Anunnaki debate. At the end of that debate, you did stand on, advanced technologies like you were hinting at the type of machinery and things like that could have been used back then that, scientists aren't talking about. And you said machinery. The one thing I'm a little upset by that neither one of y'all named any of the tools. I'm a little upset by that. We said a lot of the word tool, but we didn't name any tools. Like it was definitely more than a chisel, a rock, and things like that. Like we could have actually went into the type of tools that we're talking about in the debate, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, Queen, look, do I really got to say this again? Because it's like, I swear to God, y'all ain't hearing me. What did we say that we were going to debate about today?
Ancient, advanced technological civilizations or something in that lane.
A technologically advanced ancient civilization.
Yeah.
Did I say that I was going to prove? Did
I
say that it didn't evolve into that? I've been saying forever. Now, did I say that I was going to show any tools that they had? I keep saying you guys are taking what I said I believe versus what I said I was willing to argue. And we've had several meetings since then to talk about what it is that I'm saying. And I was told this was going to happen as far as we keep bringing aliens and lasers into it. I don't know how many times I got to say is, do you want to argue my beliefs? Do you want me to show you that? Because
I get
then I
that,
start by showing you
What's the
why I
point of a
believe that
debate?
there's aliens.
but
But
I hold
so
on.
did you just do that, Nappa?
Wait, really quickly, because like the one thing, right? Because even inside of your debate, you did make a hint at, the technology that could have been used, but you said it got swept away. You did kind of hint at it, but even then, you didn't say like what technology we're talking about. I want to know about the because it's not just on you as well as Nappa was saying that it couldn't have been the machinery. Nappa also didn't say what it could have been. So, like, he didn't go into the rollers. He didn't go into, like, he did kind of go into, like, the different ways and that other scientists has replicated these things. But as far as, like, straight pushing out what information that he had to prove what tools that they were or could have been using, I didn't hear that part. So I just feel like it was something that was missing in the both of y'all. But I'm gonna let Munchie, I'm gonna let Cosmic say something, and then I'm gonna give the results. Go ahead, Munchie.
Thank you. And I just have one question. Uh, this could go for both, right? It's what is it that you guys feel you proved today during this debate? That'd be my question. What is it that you guys think that you proved on the side you were leaning on?
Well, we don't know the exact methods, but there's pretty hard evidence that they used the tools that were available to them at the time or whatever civilization, and it wasn't more advanced than that, which was insinuated the other day that it was technologically industrial level type technology. So I'm just standing on that. We know that they had the tools available to them during that ancient time, and that's what I was standing on.
And you see
Now
how
the
now you
methods,
guys say, okay, I thought you were finished.
yeah. Now the methods actually aren't as confusing. I'm in the store right now, so I'm not near my laptop to get every tool and every description. But the methods aren't as mysterious as people think it is. It's actually are a lot of proven ways how they move these stones, how they carve these structures, why they made these artifacts like that anti catheric or whatever the hell you're talking about. There's actual explanations as to why they built these, why they constructed these. It's not a mystery, but the actual every step of it, man, there's some things that might be missing as far as every single step of the way how they built these pyramids. Other than that, it doesn't go any deeper as far as like something super extremely natural or again industrial. I love that word industrial because that's what you're insinuating, that they're having these large machines that could cut through rocks and move boulders across countries and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, go ahead, Krabs.
Yeah, that's the amazing part. It's like I'm saying I don't know. He says he knows, and he's saying that I guess all of you guys are saying that the Egyptian culture before they had the wheel and with copper chisels, because I said I can't give you the tools they had, but I'm trying to give you examples of the tools that they said that they had, and I'm trying to draw contrast to the fact that do you really think that they were using them? Because they said they had copper chisels that were attached to bones like antlers, sometimes human bones and sometimes animal bones. And I looked up the density, and I'm saying like this is what a hammer consisted of: a stone either held in your hand or tied around a stick to make a mallet. And when I show you the precision, like I said, the pyramid is 8-sided. So you guys are telling me that this civilization, I mean, do you know how perfect you got to be with positioning a 20 or 40-ton stone where it shows just a slight indentation, but only from above and only during the summer or the winter solstice? And it's like you guys are telling me they showed us the tools they had. But my job today, like I was saying to you, Munchie Man, I was trying to show that the civilization were more technologically advanced than what they're telling us. And Mike didn't show the tools, but hopefully you can see the tools they said they had couldn't do what they said they did. And that's just like common sense when you look at it, bro.
Okay, so with that being said, I finally have
Wait,
the
wait,
results.
Queen.
Oh, go ahead, Cosmic. Go ahead. Do you think?
So Krabs, this is with me. This is kind of where you started to go off. I'm glad you spoke on the topics because I'm looking at my notes again. This is where you started to address pseudo, right? This is one of the first things you said that kind of I don't need to fact check to disagree with is when you said the Greeks brought the wheel. Like that doesn't. If you know anything about Egyptian history, first you know Khnum creates humans on his potter's wheel. Number one. Number two, when the Egyptians defeated the Hyksos, they used chariots. So that was well before the Greeks. So that was the first thing that, so they had knowledge of the wheel, maybe not knowledge of the wheel used in a certain way, but there was knowledge of the wheel. But that's the one thing that kind of, you didn't necessarily lose points with me on that, but that, well, you did kind of lose a point on that. But that right there that's incorrect information. The Greeks did not bring knowledge of the wheel to the Egyptians. And then with Nappa, what I did like in one of his rounds is when it would have been better if it was in a presentation, and I would have loved to call fact check on what he spat out when he started talking about the different experiments that they used when they were moving these blocks. And then I on that, but then I questioned the validity of him saying that the 8-ton stones in one of the experiments that he called it, the 25 to 80-ton stones moved with the current researchers, he said. So I did question, hadn't heard that one before. But that's all I wanted to say. The Greeks definitely did not, bring the wheel into ancient Egypt.
Okay, let me say this, and I understand. Once you say something, it's what you said, and I get it. You're right. It was the Hyksos. Now, and I'm not even trying to say that they brought it over there. And if you listen to what I was saying, I said the story is contradicting because at one point they say that they had a lever and pulley system, which consists of a wheel. And then when you look up, they say whatever they had with you said it hit, correct? Now, I'm not a history like you are with naming certain of the cultures or empires that we're in, but absolutely. And I probably said Greek because I mixed it up with the Antikythera mechanism that I mentioned earlier that was found off the coast of Greece. So I might have mixed those up right there. And the experiments that Nappa was talking about, when you go and look them up, they never complete these experiments. And once you scale something down, then it's not the same. And then you got to also match the mathematical equations that they had within the building of this pyramid too, that I didn't even get to. But hopefully we can get into that later on in our discussion. I just want people to understand why it is that I say the things that I say, and I'm not putting them out of thin air because I think it's cute to get up here on Bigo and say it. But that's
the point of those experiments was to show that you can move these stones. That was the point, not to replicate an exact pyramid, because that would take years. Like these pyramids took years, decades. So that is not to replicate it. It was just to show that with manpower and with basic tools that were available to the Egyptians, you can move stones. Now the size, maybe I did exaggerate to 80,000 when I was talking fast. I talk fast sometimes when I'm in my mode. So maybe I did exaggerate the 80,000 thing, but they definitely moved stones that weighed tons. So that's been replicated a few times. And when I get back in the house, I can show you examples of that when we move to like just the casual conversation that we're going to have.
Yeah. Let me just call out the winner, and then we can get to the casual conversation of it all. So first, let me just tell y'all how I did it, because I usually don't do this, but it's because that the numbers was all over the place. I want everybody to know how I calculated the horror show of this, of the numbers part of the judging. So, and if I'm wrong or any of these numbers, Cosmic, Munchie, please correct me and I can correct my math. So, I have Cosmic no, I'm sorry. I have Munchie who gave Crabs 10 out of 12. And then Cosmic, who gave Crabs 36 out of 54. So I turned them into fractions, lowest fractions, 2/3 times 5, 6, got the percentages. And that's how I did that for both of them. Then I took both percentages, divided it by 2, and we got the average of what they did. And whoever got the better average is who won the debate. So I would like to give a round of applause to Crabs in a Bucket.
There you go. Yeah, I think Krabs won. I'll give it to Krabs.
Yeah, and a lot
you
of
did a good job, bro. You did a very good job. You gave the right energy.
Good job, Crabs. Good job, Crabs.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
did,
yo.
man. Yeah, I always respect you, Krabs. I don't think you're stupid or retarded for believing in this quote unquote pseudoscience. I always respect you. And I understand the awe that we have about these structures and and the technology that surrounds it and the mystery behind it. So I respect it and I understand it completely. So I just want to say that we've been knowing each other for 2 years, man. It's all love. Sometimes it gets amplified with all the people in the room and all that, but I definitely respect you. You did a really good job. I do think if I had a presentation, though, it would have been a different story. But
Hey, Queen.
you did a great job.
All right, thanks, man. Same. I thought I'd ask like this, and I was at because, like you said, I was rushing too, and I had some things that I promised that I was gonna do, so I had to do those things and still try to do this. And it seems like a pretty simple thing to do. And the reason why I was able to do this topic to even come up with a presentation, that's why I was giving you a hard time, is because this is stuff that I already looked into. I already knew what I wanted to present. So that might have been a little bit unfair to you. I ain't gonna lie to you there. But it's because like I'm in my kitchen right now. And it's like I used to sit to this kitchen table and I used to be reading some of this stuff. And I promise you, I used to be in here like with my hand over my mouth, like screaming, because I'm like, I can't believe what I was reading. Because I knew what the weights were, and the weights were not adding up. And I know I can't definitively, I can't even say the word right, like unequivocally explain how they did it. But I know when I look at what they say they had, the story isn't matching up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I had to use it. And I'll be honest with you too, since the debate is over, when I became a Freemason, and I was like, why do they reverence architecture so much? Like, why is this so important? And once I started looking to it, I started to see so many lies, starting with the most simplest one. You know what I'm saying? So that's what brought me there. You know what I'm saying?
Architecture's always represented human willpower. Like, and also it shows the collective value system. Like right now, if you look around the construction in most cities, it's for essentialism, like basic everyday needs. We don't build for even our churches are now just built like warehouses now. They don't even build churches like they used to build the cathedrals and things like that, especially here in America. So every culture has like, I think architecture represents the mentality of that culture. And so again, the pyramids or Machu Picchu or whatever monument just represented that time and where we're at mentally. So they all collectively agreed upon this, and they mobilized and built these structures. Right, we would do the same if we did have that system, but we're so modern, we're so more advanced than our ancestors that we have a whole system, a whole grid. We created grids and networks that no civilization has ever had this level of complexity. So I understand the infatuation with architecture, but there's reasons why we get to those spaces and mentally. Yeah, somebody raised their hand, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna raise mine for next.
I wanted to give everybody else a little time to speak to what they wanted to speak to. Agnostic raised her hand first, so we're gonna go to Agnostic.
Hey everyone, I realize that a lot of pseudo believers have this concept of thinking that people in some eras were smarter than others. And, we learn to adapt in every era. And one thing when it comes to stone, like ancient Egyptians were literally cutting not just the stone that was used on the pyramids, they were cutting granite, they were cutting harder stones because the reality is you can manipulate stone. You can drill a hole in a stone and cut it in a particular way. It's really not rocket science. When you want to open something, you're going to figure out monkeys do it. Monkeys show us, animals show us, birds show us literally how to get to particular things when they want to get into it. So where there's a will, there's a way. And it fascinates me, or rather dumbfounds me, when people actually think, that humans are incapable of that when we see that in freaking animals. And these same people will think that, humans are pretty dumb. No, human mind is pretty brilliant, especially in children. I find children tend to be a lot smarter than adults. But yeah, there were many methods, and a simple Google search can actually tell you how they cut all sorts of stones, not just granite. How they use copper. They used a whole bunch of different type of tools, and these tools actually evolved during the times. My plane.
Thanks, Sis Star. Let's go into Crabs and we're going to Nella. And please feel free to raise your hands to, get this conversation going.
Yeah, well, sister, I think you might have missed a lot of the debate because I also brought up those tools and what I felt like they were capable of doing. And I showed some megalithic monuments that they say that these tools create. And one day, I guess we can go back over it again. I can show you, what I'm saying, the slower form where I'm not, having to get it all out, that we're just on the open panel. I can go back and I can show you some more because there are several what they call oop arts. And I could tell Nappa went and looked it up because it's the first time I ever heard him mention it. But they're called out of place artifacts. And these artifacts are kept in the back of the museum because the archaeologists can't explain them based on where they found them at, because the material that they found them in shows that they were older than what is accepted in archaeology for humans existing on Earth. And some of these are millions of years, like gold jewelry, hammers. They put them in the back of the museum and they categorize them out of place artifacts. But hopefully, once we had this conversation, and for those that were here and heard everything I had to say, now that you guys seen it, hopefully we can talk about some other things, because I know you can Google stuff and you can come up with an explanation of why something is, but then to go and look at it and to put it in your mind's eye and visualize these people cutting, go and look at the stones, go and look at the what they did. Not to even get into electroplating, because a lot of people got to understand they had gold monuments also. How did they develop them? Did they melt them? Because it takes 1,119 degrees to melt gold, if I'm correct. How did they melt this gold? But then they said they weren't just melting gold, they was electroplating gold. So you mean to tell me they understood how to electroplate a liquid object to cause it to stick to something else? Like, what's going on here? Don't describe people as fucking dolls and then show me what they did and tell me what they did it with, and it doesn't add up. But I'll rest right there.
I'm about to go into the crib right now. What museum are you talking about specifically? Because you make these claims like the back of the museum. What museum exactly are you talking about? No,
to start
the back
with
of
the Petri
the back
core.
of what museum?
The
Okay.
Petri core, the Petri drill core number 7. It's in the Petri Museum. Now, if you go and look at that museum, it's the Petri Museum. They don't put it out on display. because it's not like a piece of pottery. It's a piece of leftover object that came from something, and people are trying to understand how they do it in the manner they did it in, and they're researching this core. But for years, like even the Antikythera mechanism, do you know for almost 2 years it's sat in the back of a museum while the gold that was found on the boat that it was located on, the gold was on front display because we knew what that was. But this thing right here, we have no idea what it is, but we're not going to get rid of it because it was found with this finding. And then years later, when you got people that are interested in it, they see it has wedges. And then years later, when they get X-ray technology and they put it on the X-ray, and they see that it's like over 30 wedges inside of it, and they see that it's correlated once they get
Wait, hold
computer
on, Krabs.
technology.
Hold on,
So
hold on,
the
Krabs.
Upas or I've known about out of place artifacts. I didn't just Google it when you now the Petri thing is new to me. That one specifically is new to me. Every other one you said I've heard before, looked it up, seen for years, and there's ways to explain the mechanisms to why they existed. And there's no mystery behind it. They're not suppressing the information. It's not in the back of some basement of the museum or whatever. There's explanations as to what most of these artifacts are. And I'm pretty sure when I get into the crib, the Petri thing can probably be explained. I'm pretty confident that there's a whole explanation as to what it is, how it got there, and everything. There's a mystery. Oh, is somebody talking?
No, that's my background. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. The thing is, Krabs, again, we can agree that ancient people were extremely intelligent and extraordinary. But the extraordinary claims that people in Europe that are adjacent to you believe in something so extraordinary that they have no evidence for it. That's all that I'm saying. Like, there's not really much to disagree on other than when y'all start going completely left field into industrialization of ancient civilization that has no traces left behind. All we have is these out of place artifacts that you guys assume are connected to a larger network. What is the mechanism of the I gotta get that word. You just said, what is the mechanism behind it?
Antikythera.
Yeah,
It's an island called Antikythera.
Yeah, every time I see that artifact, I never know how to say the name of it. I've seen it. That's one of the most like prolific out of place artifacts. But what was the mechanism behind it, other than it being some sort of mechanism to chart astrology? What other than that? What was it? What was it connected to? Right? Any of these things that you mentioned would need a whole. So you're in construction, right? You're in construction, so you know that every tool that you use has an industry behind it, has manufacturers behind it. There's a whole ecosystem around just one tool, just a hammer, just a nail, just one simple nail has an ecosystem around it that requires a whole coalition. That requires a whole coalition of things internationally. You don't find any of that. You just find little pieces of fragments that archaeologists can't explain, but you guys choose to fill in the gaps with your. You don't understand the mechanism of it. Therefore, it must be A, B, or C. It must be something else. When archaeologists do explain to us what it is, but it's not satisfying enough for y'all. It's not satisfying enough for people. And I get that. I understand it because it's really like a branch of religiosity that I think a lot of people deal with. Like some people are just now shedding their.
We got hands. Go ahead.
Oh, my back. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. Yeah, we just got hands, and Hakeem has been waiting for a little minute. Go ahead, Hakeem. We're going to go back to Krabs, and then Nappa, I'll let you finish your thought out.
Yeah, I didn't hear from the beginning, but I don't know if anybody addressed issue geometry that is involved in the precision of the construction of the pyramids, and that's probably one of the most wondrous things concerning it. And dealing with the ideal of not only constructing it without any mortar involved, but bringing all of those huge stones together. It's like estimated like 2.3 million stones. So dealing with the math that's involved in the structure itself is wondrous, and then the logistics of coordinating a workforce to be able to do that, because they have different estimations on how many people were involved in the labor process, and some estimate as many as 100,000 people and we didn't have like walkie talkies and all that to make it happen. So you have to be able to communicate with all those people and then be able to engineer it. And then you have all of the math that's involved with it. To really consider that is a tremendous underestimation if you're not looking at math. I got an uncle who says, if you're not thinking mathematically, you're not thinking.
Well said. We go into Crabs, Nappa, and then Rahubali.
You got that 40?
Yeah, and of course, I'm gonna agree with what he says, and this is the amazing part that keeps me doing and saying what I'm saying, because I've never talked to him. I don't think he's ever been around me, but yet we're seeing ideas that are similar based on what we see. It's like I thought about the logistics, because I deal with transporting heavy material, and one wrong turn can set you back hours. But yet and still, these people were traveling for 528 miles with stone that weighed 40 tons. And you're right, brother. I did not get into the geometry that is incorporated in some of these megalithic monuments, typically the Pyramid of Khufu, which is erroneously named that, but that's another conversation for another time. I did not get into that because how in the hell am I going to talk about the Fibonacci code and stuff like that if you think that people are just dragging 40 tons, however they say they're doing it? If we can't get behind what it takes to pull 40 tons, 528 miles, you're going to say Fibonacci sequence and it being placed on the longitude of light per whatever minutes by whatever seconds, based on whatever tool of measurement is just a coincidence, then I don't even need to get into anything else. I was just look at and gave the density of the material they say they use to shape these. I cited all the tools that they said that they had. And Nappa, you said that you didn't know about the Pt.2 drill core number 7, but yet you said you heard about out of place artifacts. I don't doubt that the two can coexist, because there are thousands of them. And I'm gonna wrap it up right here. So you know the out of place artifacts that you research, none of them are in the front of the museum, because they said they're out of place, meaning out of place in history. They should not be here in this historical timeline that we find them in. So therefore, we're gonna push them back. And like I said before about syphilis, they did it for 40 years. You don't think they can hide nothing else? Man, stop playing with me.
Please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, The Duel of Concepts, and ringing that notification bell. Watch our content. And feel free to engage with us in the comments. Tell us what you like or what we could be doing better. Everything you do plays an important role in helping us achieve our goals. We thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.